Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to call to order the City of Redlands Disaster Council to order. And if I could please have you stand for our Pledge of Allegiance. Hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Are there any public comments? I didn't receive any written public comments, but are there any public comments from the audience? Seeing none, we'll go on to the introduction and welcome, Chief Sessler.
Good evening. Thank you, everyone, for coming today. Appreciate your time coming to our Disaster Council. We meet quarterly, so this is our summer one. This is one that we oftentimes don't have, but it hasn't been too bad for us this year so far. I have a few people out on fires, but not too impacted locally for us in Southern California right now. But the goal of these meetings is for us to get information out to the public, to give updates from the fire department, to hear from our cooperators and partners in our region and the county. It's a great opportunity to network and grow our preparedness as a community and as a region. So I appreciate your time and thank you for being here.
Okay, thank you, Chief. The next item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes. If you had an opportunity to review the minutes, and if there aren't any additions, corrections, or deletions to the minutes, would attain a motion to approve?
I motion to approve.
And I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Any old business? I don't see that we have any old business. We'll go to G, which is new business. Our first item is the presentation of T-Mobile resources and of the LA Fires Public Safety Consultant, Sean Adams. Welcome. Come on up to the podium here. And then just introduce yourself and then just give your presentation to the audience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sean Adams. I'm with T-Mobile's public safety team on the West Coast. Here with are my government account executive partners. We got Edgar and Oscar. Edgar is the partner for San Bernardino County. Oscar covers Riverside County. So I work with both of them. This presentation is going to be quick. It's kind of geared towards first responder agencies, but I'm also going to bring into the public about your PACE plan, and I'm going to talk about that. So I help create PACE plans for public safety agencies, but it's also just as important to create a PACE plan for the public as well. In conjunction with the PACE plan, I'm going to talk about how we responded to the LA fires, some of the things that we learned, some of our successes, and even some of our failures. First off, I'm part of our public safety team. I did 17 years with the Beaumont Police Department out there in Riverside County. At the beginning of 2024, T-Mobile created this team. I was fortunate enough to be one of the first hired. So we're all former first responders, and we either have a law enforcement or fire background. Currently, there's about 40 of us nationwide. And what I do is twofold. I want to be an extension of a Rolodex for the first responder agencies that are in the room. So if you're like, hey, Sean, what's the latest and greatest? Doesn't even have to be T-Mobile related. You're like, hey, what's the latest and greatest CAD system? What's the newest technology, patrol cars, fire apparatuses? What are BCs putting in their rigs in San Bernardino County or Inyo County? Get a hold of me. I can put you in contact with somebody that's going to know the questions or those answers to those questions. I'm on call 24/7. I'm besides being an extension of a Rolodex for first responder agencies, I'm also part one of a two-part national response team. So when the fires popped off on January 8th, I was there within a couple hours and started the instant connectivity, and I'll talk about that why in just a second. I brought some toys. If you guys want to come take a look at them, it's some of the stuff that I can bring, and I'll briefly mention those. So let's talk about PACE. What is a PACE plan? It's your primary, alternate, contingent, and emergency plan. Primary. So for police departments, fire departments, it's their radios. It's their landlines. It's their cell phones. It's their tablets. It's their in-car connectivity. If you have an alternate, maybe it's a secondary SIM carrier. Maybe it's a ham radio. Contingent, maybe your ham radio, maybe Starlink. In your emergency, all else fails, you go back to good old paper and pencil. So let's talk about the LA fires real quick. I do not want to keep, this is not a sales pitch, but I will say we implemented a technology called T-Priority, which was a game changer for first responder agencies. It gave a crazy amount of data speeds and throughput, which kept them connected. Esther, is this little red button a laser? There we go. Okay. I'll show you data speeds. These are from 3 different carriers, us and our competitors. And I'm going to explain why the speeds were so good and where the carriers could have improved and why they were in that situation to begin with. So when the fires happened on January 8th, my team and I were kind of teetering on if we needed to respond because there was 2 ICPs, one at the Rose Bowl and then one at Zuma Beach. We went to the Rose Bowl first. We got there about 2 or 3 in the morning. It was incredible. I've seen plenty of ICPs, but nothing like this. This was just crazy. Well over 6,000 personnel, 600 fire apparatuses, hundreds of command posts. Crazy amount of command posts. The Zuma Beach ICP was extremely unique. It's about 1.5 miles long, about 75 yards wide. You got cliffs on one side and you got the ocean on the other. So it was a heck of a walk from one end of the ICP back down and back up. When the fire happened at the Rose Bowl, to be honest with you, all 3 carriers did really, really well. We were putting 667 down, 86 on the up, and our competitors did pretty good too. But the thing is our competitors had to bring in cows. Anybody know what a cow or a colt is? Cell on wheels, light cell on wheels. It's think of it as a mobile cell tower, okay? When first responder agencies push the red button and call me and said, hey, we need a cow or a colt, I'm gonna check the network coverage of where the ICP is gonna be at first, but I can start those resources running. But there's a certain amount of time frame between when I make the phone call till the resources go on site and get lit up. And that's an information that I can only share with first responder agencies. And there's some other details in here that I can't say to the public. So if there's any first responder agency that wants some additional information, I'll leave my business card out there. Please grab it and email me. And I can get you phone numbers to these emergency response teams as well. So our competitors had to bring out cows and colts. They took 12 hours to 24 hours to get there and get lit up. A lot can happen. Fire chief knows, Esther knows, from the time a fire starts for those first few hours are pretty critical. So what bridges that gap? What connectivity? What is your pace plan until you can get resources there? At the Palisades fire over at the Rose Bowl and at Zuma Beach as well, our competitors went down. When I went, they went down like no cell service period. So there were certain agencies that they could not make a phone call. They could not get their MDCs connected. They couldn't get a hold of their loved ones to tell them, hey, I'm gonna be late, or hey, I'm okay. It got so bad that officers were trying to connect their hotspots to their command trailers just to make a phone call. So that's where my team comes in. We can bring routers in. I've got networking and kits. I've got antennas. I've got phones, SIM cards. All that stuff is we can light up eSIMs. We lit up hundreds and hundreds of eSIMs for first responders. So this is not, hey, are you a T-Mobile customer? Are you a Verizon customer? Are you a FirstNet customer? My team, we don't care. As long as you guys get the connectivity you guys need is what makes a difference to us. As long as you guys stay connected, which keeps you guys safe. As part of this, we lit up hundreds of eSIMs with our network slice T-Priority. Anybody heard of FirstNet's Band 14? Band 14, that's kind of what they say is a public safety slice of the network. So think of T-Priority as FirstNet's Band 14 on steroids. Long story short, they have one lane of a freeway on a 4G system. Our T-Priority is all the lanes of a freeway on a 5G system. It's pretty awesome. That's how we got those speeds. In addition to that, we got emergency FCC authorization to activate our Starlink direct to cell over the burn scar. So when there was no cell phone towers, ours got burned up just as our competitors. That place was a moonscape. Nothing worked. But first responders still had to fight fires. Okay, the area that wasn't affected by fires had no power, had no cell signal. We couldn't get public safety agencies couldn't get WIA alerts out, wireless emergency alerts. So what we did was we got the emergency authorization to activate Starlink, which at this point, you can send text messages and basic photos if you're a T-Mobile customer, or if you lit up an eSIM if we lit up like hundreds of eSIMs for customers, for public safety agencies all over that came down to help out. They were able to send text messages to their command staff, to their peers, and to their families. 96,000 text messages were sent within just a few days. 21 WIA alerts were sent out as well with our technology. And it wasn't just for T-Mobile customer to T-Mobile customer. The WIA went to every carrier, whether you were in the moonscape of the burn scar, or if you were in downtown LA that was affected by the geofence we put around it, you would have gotten that WIA alert. We ran LA Sheriff's VoIP phone system, LAPD, some other three-letter agencies, which I can't name. But it was a pretty incredible sight to see is how much resources we dumped in. Like I said, I'm part one of a two-part emergency response team. If this is going to be a prolonged incident, critical incident, natural disaster, civil unrest, large-scale protest, that's where I come in to help out first responder agencies. If it arises to a higher level where it's going to be a prolonged incident, we'll call in a national team and they can get their flight time about 12 hours. So we were kind of teetering on whether or not we needed that team within the first couple of days. So we spent about 3 or 4 days out there. My national team came in with resources, and then they took over the event with us helping kind of run routers, run SIM cards to different agencies. It was kind of neat. On a side note, I was there when Elon Musk with his big line of Tesla trucks showed up on scene to the Zuma Beach and tossing mini Starlinks out like Oprah. Like, you get one, you get one, you get one. That was pretty cool. Zuma Beach was really challenging because we had a cell tower on the north end and one kind of on the southeast-ish area. This was really challenging for us and for the other carriers because of those issues. We had one tower, primarily one tower, that ran the entire Zuma Beach ICP. And here's where first responder agencies didn't think about this. If you're on the north end and you're mobile command trailer number 1 out of 100, right? They're all made out of metal. So if you're the first command trailer, you're going to get rockin' reception. Second command trailer, you're still going to get some pretty good reception. But as you go down that line of hundreds of command posts, they act like Faraday cages. So as you're coming down to the end of that, you're not going to get reception, which it means you don't get connectivity. What we found out was these mobile command posts were built out to the latest and greatest technology 6 to 10 years ago, when 4G was a thing. The way the future is 5G, and that's how you future-proof your agency. That's how the public future-proofs their current technology infrastructure in their home is 5G. Well, departments have kind of adopted that technology, but the problem is their mobile command posts haven't. And we learned from a lot of big agencies, they didn't want external antennas because they didn't look cool. But we realized that put a 5G antenna up on top of your rig made all the difference in the world. My team and I, we kind of figured out, you know what, let's get up as high as we could. So we went to Home Depot. We got 3/4 inch PVC pipe, a bunch of zip ties, a couple antennas that I brought a couple here, zip ties and duct tape. And we made it work we got them connectivity. The far right slide, 670 down, 16, almost 17 on the up, was from LAPD. We got their trailer up and running, and it was about a 10-foot antenna in the air because the internal antenna just wasn't good enough. And it just wasn't LAPD, it was a lot of other agencies as well. I did tell you that our competitors went down. Here's proof in the pudding. Verizon's, that's kind of hard to see. Verizon's on the left, I'm sorry, the far right. They have 0 service. This is FirstNet, 3.48 down, 0.32 on the up. You can't make a phone call with this. This is like if your cell phone shows 1 bar of service, I guarantee you a text message or cell phone call will not go through. And that's what that is. This was on top of the cliffs above Zuma Beach. Here's the ocean. Looks a little farther than it really is, but the ICP was just about here. This was a game changer for me when I realized how awesome our technology was. Anybody familiar with CAL FIRE DINS and the important role that they play? I know OES probably knows what they do, but they're their damage assessment team. So what they do is they categorize, they do 2 data dumps a day, usually 1 in the morning, 1 at night. And their goal is to map the fire head, allocate resources, keep track of personnel. So they have huge amounts of data, but they are vitally important. With essentially three carriers, FirstNet, Verizon, and Starlink. I'm going to talk about Starlink here in a second. It's not the savior that everybody thinks it is. They were pulling these speeds right here, the 519 down, 10 up. They cannot conduct business because of their needs. This one router right here, $500 router I brought. No, it doesn't have to be a $2,000 router, just $500 router with one of our SIMs. We got these speeds. We gave them 2 just to be on the safe side. This is operating on 1. So they were able to do it. So DINS had thought that they were okay with 2 carriers and Starlink. And they aggregated that signal. So that router bonds the technology and kind of creates, instead of like waves of speed, tries to create a level amount of speed. So what did CAL FIRE DINS learn? How about 3 carriers? Because you never know where you're going to be at. Plus Starlink is a failover. So what we learned, command trailers were built, like I said, latest and greatest 10 years ago. You need a 5G external antenna. Put that thing on top of your command post. Don't hide it inside because you don't like the way things look. Multi-carriers are needed with Starlink. I was asked multiple times, hey, we're good. Or I was told multiple times, hey, we're good because we have a Starlink. We have a Starlink Mini. I'm like, hey, that's fantastic because their other cell carriers weren't working. A Starlink is fantastic. It is a game changer in first responder, in public safety, the public itself technology. I have one as a backup for me. I think it's great. Starlink will keep you connected and keep you operational. Alone, it won't keep you operational and effective. For the public, you don't have to be operational and effective. You just have to be able to make a phone call, upload some photos. If your house gets burned down, you start the insurance process. You get a hold of Red Cross. But with first responder agencies, they're on a zero-fail mission. Just being connected and operational doesn't work for them. You have to be operational and effective. So that's why I'm a big fan of multi-carriers. I'm not up here saying, hey, T-Mobile is the only carrier you shall have, you should have. It's for Emergency Operations Center, for cities, for OES, multi-carriers is the way to go with a Starlink backup. Yeah, I saw officers try to tether their phones to laptops, failed miserably. Don't do that. Generators on cell towers. We got a lot of questions about that because all our carriers went down. All 3 carriers, we did too. After the fire popped off and the power was cut. I can say this, I know this for sure. Any cell tower of mine in California that has the ability to have a backup generator has one currently. There are some restrictions that the cities may have put on T-Mobile, whether it's noise, environmental restrictions, endangered species restrictions, or something along those lines. But I can say any tower that is a T-Mobile tower in California, if we can have a backup generator, we have it already in place. We reconfigured our fiber backhaul. I have to talk about this because public could be watching us. First responder agencies, I'm happy to share this with you guys. We learned a lot. We had too many eggs in a basket, and we needed to diversify. So like I said, first responder agencies, happy to give you in-depth detail on what that means later. Big thing. This is for the first responder agencies and for the public. Keep your tech package simple. You don't need wazoo routers. You don't need a cabinet, your command post with a cabinet full of electronics that half of them do work, half of them don't work. Some people don't know how to use them. If something breaks, nobody knows how to fix it, or you have to call an IT staff out to your command post. Keep things simple. A $500 router with a $40 a month SIM card outperformed Starlink and competitors, or have multi-carriers. I have a router in that black box right here, this one right here. That is a push. It's got a built-in antenna. It's got a router that can take 4 SIMs plus Starlink. And then the technology in there can bond the signal together. So you could have 2 T-Mobile, you could have 4 of any combination you want, plus a Starlink failover. So it'll even out that signal, so you'll theoretically have connection just about anywhere you go. That kit, that router itself is about $2,500. That kit alone is about $1,500. I mean, the grand scheme of things for a first responder agency that's a chunk of change, but it's worth the investment. For the public that may be viewing this or that are here in the audience, keep your tech package simple. I understand people are dedicated to certain carriers. I'm obviously a T-Mobile fan. All my stuff's T-Mobile. I have a Verizon hotspot. Doesn't really cost a whole lot. You can have a backup. I also have Starlink. So for the public out there, if T-Mobile goes down, you can then light up your MiFi from a different carrier. Doesn't really cost you a whole lot per month. You can maybe even put it on pause until you use it. Then you can connect to that and have Wi-Fi calling. You can let your loved ones know what's going on. You can try to make accommodations. Like I live in a ranch up on the outskirts of Idlewild. We have a PACE plan for myself and my family. When I was in law enforcement, we had a PACE plan for me. I'll talk about that real briefly. My wife was also in law enforcement as well. When we were out with our kids, our PACE plan was if one of us looks me straight in the eye, or I look her in the eye and say, hey, go back to the car right now. So she knew, or I knew, somebody recognized her, there's a threat, I'm going to take the kids, or she's going to take the kids and go. The rally point was the car. Okay, I have a PACE plan for my horses and my livestock. Have a PACE plan for your communications. Cell phones, T-Mobile, I have a Verizon MiFi with a Starlink. So for the public out there, think of something simple that doesn't cost a whole lot, but it'll keep you connected. There was a first responder agency out there. They had the prettiest command post. This thing was pulled by a semi-truck. It was gorgeous. Didn't work. Generator worked. It had great AC and a clean bathroom, which was fantastic. But with what this first responder agency needed to do, it was just a glorified room to chill in. A couple more things. Issues with WIA. So we learned a lot about our towers having too many eggs in a basket. With the WIAs, I can definitely say this to the public. When the towers went down, the WIA alert from the county or from a first responder agency doesn't just go through like cell phone to satellite to the public. It still sends a message through to the cell towers. Well, if the cell towers are down, it kind of stores that message. So when they got operational again, unfortunately, those WIAs got pushed out. So if that was a couple of days later, and all of a sudden you have a leave now order, people get scared, and it was pretty much a little chaos for a while. So, and to be honest with you, we don't know on T-Mobile if that's something that we can fix, and the first responder agency that issued those are trying to figure out how they can fix it on their end. And so we're not saying it's our fault or their fault. They're kind of going back and forth with us, and we're working with each other. So that was something that we learned, and that was a big deal. It made the news. So we just want to make sure we're still working through that. But in my opinion, if you got a message out the first time to leave and it saved lives, let's chalk that one up as a win, and we'll figure out this other portion later, take it as a learning experience. Future-proofing your agency with 5G, whether you're Verizon, whether you guys are FirstNet, whether you're at home. Future-proof 5G, that's the way to go. Keep your tech plans simple. Big fan of these things. These are called Volti desk phones, especially for first responder dispatch centers. These are desk phones with a SIM card in it. Think of it as a desk phone, but a cell phone. It looks just like that desk phone right there. Right next to the chief. Looks exactly like that thing. The cool thing is, you can pick that thing up and move it. So what happens if your EOC gets evacuated and you have to go to an alternate location? Pick that thing up and you'll be able to make a phone call. Dispatch centers. Mobile command post goes down, pick up all your stuff and move it to the next. Super easy, super cost effective. Multi-routers with Cradle points, quick sell. Cradle points are expensive. This quick sell, $500. Super easy. Multi-SIM routers, which I was talking to you about with that big expensive one I have in there. But in the grand scheme of things, is it really that bad if you have multi-SIMs in there? External antennas was a game changer. Starlink technology is fantastic as an emergency, but don't rely on it solely. This is just our Starlink. We now call it T-Satellite. It's pretty cool technology. OES just adopted it. And it turns your cell phone into a satellite text messaging device now. In the near future, it's going to turn it into a sat phone. Sat phones, this will be a replacement to sat phones. I have asked my solutions engineers, my higher ups, is this a replacement for, what, 5 minutes? Okay. Is this a replacement for sat phones? Yes, it is, 100%. And it's happening now. We can blink deployables out. All the farm animals, the cows, the colts, this command post is now issued to California. We have super cool drones. Public safety agencies, if you guys want more information, hit me up with 24-hour numbers and email addresses along with mine. Real quick with the community, we're not just here for first responder agencies, we're here for the community as well. We will provide Wi-Fi connections and charging points to reunification centers, to shelters. If there's a, heaven forbid, a horrific incident in Redlands and they need a shelter lit up with T-Mobile service, I don't care if you guys are T-Mobile customers or not, you call me, I will bring all my toys to make sure that place is lit up like a Christmas tree. Our charging stations can be moved in, they can power, I've heard CPAP machines, electric scooters or wheelchairs, whatever you guys need, we can bring that. When an emergency does happen, all of our retail stores turn into charging centers. Doesn't matter if you're a T-Mobile customer or not. Go plug your phone in or your device. You can get free charging there. Shelters, yeah, relocation sites, reunification sites. Bring me in and my team in on planning. So if you guys have large-scale events, bring my team in. We'll check connectivity. We'll check networks. We'll check to make sure you guys are good. Let us know what your PACE plan is. Let us know where, if we have a major incident, a media site, all those items, we can help you. You tell us what they're going to be, and we can help you guys make sure you guys are connected. First responder agencies call me. I bring all the toys, and they're really cool. No charge to you. All I ask is that you please return them. As I'm coming down San Bernardino County, we're getting a ton of agencies and departments that are using us. NYPD is the biggest agency right now that adopted T-Mobile. San Bernardino PD, Azusa PD, LA City Fire, the list goes on and on and on. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, please talk to me offline. Happy to answer anything. You guys want to see some of the toys I brought in. Esther, I'm going to give you 10 SIM cards, no attachments. If you guys need something in emergency, call me, we light them up, and we give first responder agencies 30 days of free service until they figure out what they need to do. They're going to continue it or they just want to drop it. So not a problem. Any other questions? Hit me up offline and thank you very much.
Sean, I want to thank you so much. I learned quite a bit and how important communication is for incidents like this. I think there was a lot learned post 9/11 with the communications and so on. You have elevated the communications. Chief, I don't know if you have any questions or any comments you'd like to ask.
No, I always appreciate the information. I will definitely follow up with you in regards to resources and tools for us, for sure.
I just had a question. So, like, sure. Do you have an MOU agreement with some of these other carriers as you're going into an incident, or establish those before that, or how does that work?
So MOU questions have come up in the past, not regarding cross-carrier, but it's within departments asking for strict MOU between us and them so they get first pick. We don't do MOUs. We don't do any contracts. You call us, we show up, we deploy, and then when you guys are done with us, we leave. So we used to do MOUs in the past and things got a little sticky. So now we just provide this service free of charge for public safety agencies.
Okay, thank you so much. Are there any other, Esther?
I actually do have a question. So I know that in the past, we have also had GETS cards,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
How does the GETS program work with all this craziness that went on in LA?
Okay. So GETS there's twofold to GETS. So think of GETS. Anybody remember GETS cards? Yeah. GETS cards are landlines. Okay. WPS Wireless Priority Service is the cell phone version, which came after 9/11's commission and their report. So think of it as GETS for cell phones. Okay. This is no secret, and it shouldn't be a secret. Every carrier has wireless priority service. Okay. If you want to check, and I challenge anybody to do this now, dial *272, the full 10-digit number on any carrier. And if the call is completed, you have been enrolled in WPS, Wireless Priority Service. If it says call not completed, call failed, it means whatever rep you have for your current carrier with your public safety agency has not enrolled you in Wireless Priority Service. So *272, the full 10-digit number, and call it dispatch center, call anybody you want. Real quick with T-Mobile, we take that burden off first responder agencies, so we automatically do that when the account is created. And we do it with data. So think about MDCs, connected laptops, computers, MiFis, anything. So you'll get the first level of, I think there's 4 levels of wireless priority service. Level 1 is like White House communications, national security. I think we're at a level 2 or level 3 for first responder agencies. And so yes, wireless priority service did have an impact, but with the carriers that they currently had, if everybody's on one lane of the freeway and you have 6,000 people there on a certain cell carrier, it doesn't really matter if you have wireless priority service or not. So you have to think of the big picture of the spectrum and the amount of lanes of the freeway the carrier has. If that makes sense.
Thank you so much. And I'm glad we're recording this because you have a lot of great information, and I'm sure we'll go back and look at some of the information that you provided and follow up with you later.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And thank you for bringing all your toys with you. Well, not all of them, but some of them. Some of the ones that don't have tires on them. So next we'll go to our G on our agenda, B, which is the San Bernardino County Office of Emergency Services update.
Good afternoon, everybody. How are we doing?
Good.
Good. Thank you, of course, for having us, Mayor, Chief Sessler, Esther. Just a few updates for you guys. My name is Robert Gonzalez. I'm an emergency services officer with County's Office of Emergency Services. A few things that we've been working on, or just updates for this disaster council, is we recently hosted what's known as an integrated preparedness plan workshop. Partnered with various cities and town organizations, various organizations inside the county, which includes community college districts, special districts, things like that. The meaning of this workshop, the purpose of this workshop is essentially to work together as a group to try to determine various trainings and needs and capability gaps that we may identify, so we can essentially, as a group, work together to identify needs and training for the county. This is a multi-year plan that we work with. So, for example, say like some of the alert and warning things that Sean was talking about. So, for example, if we feel that the capabilities of our county are not meeting alert and warning standards or criteria, then we identify that in this discussion with this workshop and say, okay, we need more training for alert and warning, for example. So with that, like I said, we work together and identify those trainings so we're not duplicating efforts, right? If I hold an alert and warning training and City of Redlands decides to do one, if we're doing them within close proximity, right, we might not get a lot of participation. So in this workshop, we discuss various, like I said, training, so we make sure we're not overlapping and we're allocating our limited resources effectively. So we recently had that training, and as a result, we've identified some priorities and some things that we want to work on as a group, as a county, as an operational area, to make sure that we're meeting the capabilities that we need in a time of a disaster or an emergency, right? So I kind of already mentioned one of the things that we did. We recently had an actual alert and warning training. We had partnered with some emergency management staff up in Sonoma County. So they came down and actually did an alert and warning training for not only the officers in my office, but cities and towns were invited. Esther did participate in that, even though she's very well versed in alert and warning, right? So, but again, even if you have it, if you're not constantly pushing or doing alert and warning, right? Just as an example, if you lose that muscle memory, right? So having this training kind of refreshes that. And alert and warning is just one topic, right? Another thing we talked about was, planning for like mass care, right? If a large amount of the population gets put under an evacuation order, which is leave now, right? Do we have the capabilities to respond effectively to support those evacuees, right? So those are some of the things we talk about, like, and how to identify trainings that we need to meet that capability. And in addition to that, prior to the workshop, we do some assignments ahead of time. So one of the things we pushed out to the participants is a survey, which identifies capabilities that we feel that we want to know from our participants that they think we need to improve on. And in addition to that, we ask what hazards that these participants think is most critical for us to try to focus on. So some of the results from that survey, from the first thing that folks put on there was earthquake. So the biggest hazard we face as a county, according to that survey, was an earthquake. The second one was wildfire. The third one was extreme weather, which includes extreme heat and extreme cold. The fourth one was terrorism-related events, and the fifth one was flooding and debris flows. So by us sending that survey out to this group, again, now we can focus on those particular hazards and try to focus training that's tailored towards those respective hazards. In addition to that, like I said, we had an alert and warning class, and we're actually planning on additional classes. And again, if there's classes or trainings that whether the city is doing them or whether other cities or towns in our county are doing, again, it's a collaborative effort to make sure that if I need a little bit more of a refresher in what, say, our friends from public health are doing, our first responder agency could tag along and see, again, what they're doing. So again, we're all aligned in the event of a disaster. In addition to that, in the county charter, there's what's called an executive disaster council that county OES is to maintain. So we're actually going to be having our executive disaster council meeting, which is going to include all first responder entities for the county at the county level. So executive staff like our directors from public health, from public works, from sheriff, the fire warden, the fire chief from county fire. And essentially we take all of those, again, points that I just discussed. And again, we try to establish objectives, establish priorities as a group, as an executive level, and then that filters on down to the county departments. And in addition to the county charter, there's a section in there that calls for the creation of what's known as a volunteer advisory committee. So we've actually recently just had our first meeting for that group last week, which was organized by County OES, which includes not only OES, but it has volunteer representation from County Fire and also from County Sheriff. It's been quite some time since that volunteer advisory committee has met. So we, like I said, recently just organized our first one in some time. Eventually, that advisory committee will expand, which will include representation from volunteer programs from cities or towns. Again, there's a robust CERT team in this city, right? So we want to make sure that we not only have representation from our county CERT volunteer programs, but also our city and town volunteer programs or voluntary organizations that are active in disaster, right? If there's nonprofits, private nonprofits, non-governmental organizations that are within this community, right? We want to make sure we have proper representation from those groups. So again, the volunteer advisory committee meeting that we had was just kind of the initial starting point, but eventually it will expand to include representation from those groups. With that, that's all the updates I have for the group, unless there's any questions from the group.
Are there any questions for Robert?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, absolutely. So I can give you my card and I'll connect you to our group that actually manages and works with all of our nonprofits. We maintain a rolling list. So in the event of a disaster, I'm not sure what the capabilities of your group are, but let's say you deal with food distribution, right? Just as an example. And in a disaster, we get tons and tons of calls of people wanting to help, right? It's human nature, right? If there's resources that people have and they want to give it to help the person that, is going through something traumatic, right? Typically, sometimes it comes to the county and we have to try to organize that. Now, if you're a nonprofit that deals with that kind of distribution, we look at that list that I mentioned and say, okay, groups A, B, C, D, here's what we have. Are you in the affected area? Can you assist with distribution of said material? Whatever it is, right? So, like I said, I can connect you with those groups and just go from there. Is that okay? Anything else?
All right. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you, everybody.
Next up is our Redlands Emergency Management Update. Emergency Management Specialist Esther Martinez.
So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming. Here's our update. So in the last 3 months, we have finished our EOC training. We held some training for all our staff, and we had 2 tabletops included in there, April and May, and then 1 functional exercise. Pretty cool picture of our EOC. Chieftain is the one in the red, by the way. So we will be having another training in October. It'll be the Great Shakeout. We're actually hoping to be able to activate our EOC for a couple hours. After we evacuate everybody and bring everybody back, then we'll go over and set up our EOC, because it's quite, once again, it's a whole, let's remember what we're doing. Then we are, right now, we're also working with our building and safety department, and we are building our damage assessments team, or DAT teams, so they can go out and actually do damage assessments in the very first couple hours that the county decides that, hey, I need to know how much damage we have and I need an initial damage assessment. So we will have that, hopefully those teams up and running hopefully soon. And we're working with GIS to also be able to map and take pictures with Esri programs and be able to send those pictures and that information actually back into the EOC. So that way they, our building and safety person can start kind of giving a damage assessment of what we need. And that's where we're at right now with the building and safety. We did an alert system. So if you live here in Redlands or you were registered in Redlands, you should have gotten a whole WIAS, alert system a couple months ago. So we did that. We've learned a couple of things with that as well, such as we had to remove a couple of phone lines, which were our dispatchers, right? So we had to do that. That was kind of interesting, but I think it was good. Okay. Plans that we're working on, we're actually working with County San Bernardino. I think we're going to be holding our meeting here soon in the next few months to be able to work on the multi-jurisdictional local hazard mitigation plan, which will be able to take us into the next period that we have to have our local hazard mitigation done by. So I think that's a good thing. Oh, sorry, I was playing with this. I broke the clicker. Our EMPG, we closed out 2023. We're 2024. It will be going to council in September. Once that is approved, then we will be able to close it out within the next, hopefully the next few months. So that'll be taken care of. We're just waiting for it to be going to council to be able to accept it. The county just issued that one in July. I had another one that issued it. Community presentations I've done late. This last quarter, we did a Listos course. This is at the Blessing Center. This is our first English Listos course. So I was really excited about it. We had about 12 ladies that are there for the Blessing Center. They're trying to get back on their feet and do what they need to do. And we're going to work with them every other year and be able to teach their course on being prepared. So when they do move out and have their own place, they'll be able to be prepared for emergencies and disasters. They had a lot of cool questions. It was a good class. It took us 3 days, 2 hours each day. So we did it in 6 hours. Our third class is in September, 5th, 6th, 7th. So we opened it up July, I want to say like the 5th of July, I opened this up. And by the 7th or 8th, it was full. And we actually had to close the class. in 3 days. And now we have a waiting list. So if anybody wants to promote the CERT class, I don't have a problem. They can go onto our CERT webpage, our city's webpage, go into the CERT site, and go into this like waiting list interested form. They'll register in there, and then we can go from there. And in September, maybe we should have, normally I pull about 10 people out of this list to fill up the class. But our biggest class last April, we had 38 people actually graduate our CERT class. So our volunteers, we had a training in June, and we brought in meditation, which is part of the disaster psychology. I know that people are like, meditation? I heard that, right? Well, I kind of want to make sure that people understand that sometimes when we're all stressed out, we need that little break, but we don't stop thinking. So I was like, how do I do this? So I've learned that meditation for me actually works just to be able to get away for 5-10 minutes and just do it, right? When I'm like really stressed, or I go home, or when I get up in the morning. So I figured I'd bring it over, and I didn't really tell the CERT members that they were going to get trained in meditation. So it was kind of interesting, but it actually works for them. It was free training. They were able to come in and be able to like learn. I got a lot of good reviews. They were like, oh, I didn't know how to do this. So now they do, and they can use it so whenever they're stressful, because during disasters, my CERT volunteers are going to be very, very stressed out, I'm pretty sure. I opened it all to the OA CERT. I didn't have anybody from other than Redlands volunteers show up. So events that we've been doing, we are doing the Redlands Bowl. We hold the first aid booth for them. We average between 25 and 35 gallons of water every night is what we've been giving out to the public. And I want to shout out to our MUED department, because they're the ones that provide the water. So we do that. A couple of Band-Aids. We haven't had, knock on wood, we haven't had any 911 calls so far. Last year we had 2. So far this year we have none. We've actually been really good. We've also done the hunger walk, the touch a truck. The picture at the top was the booth at the touch a truck. They were issuing water and had the misters as well. And then we had the Juneteenth. And then one of the other things that we got recognized as volunteers for helping out with the Baker to Vegas. So we went over, we do the radios for OES, help them out, and the Sheriff's Department actually recognized us for that. And that's my update. Any questions? Comments? Concerns?
I have a question for the chief. Chief, and the Emergency Services Center, is there coordination with some of the larger stakeholders in the community, like the school district or the Redlands Community Hospital?
Yes.
And how does that work?
So we have liaisons for all those, our local partners, our major partners, hospital, the University of Redlands, the school district, and they're on our call-out list and points of contact for their own EOCs. Each of those have their own internal EOCs. So we're building that network, so when we have a disaster that we can reach out and coordinate, if they're not impacted, what resources they have to help us out, and vice versa when they get activated.
So are they attending those trainings at our EOC?
They have not at this point. We have gone to their training and been a part of theirs. They know our points of contact for us. They wouldn't really have a specific role unless it's something, significant, but we have the points of contact to bring them in. As of now, for us as a city, of where we're at organizationally is we did the initial training. It had been many years since our city had done a fully functional drill. So we brought in Jacob Green Associates to conduct that training, and we did a functional exercise. We plan on doing those again in the future and expanding upon that.
Perfect. Thank you.
And Mayor, just to let you know that if we need somebody that I don't have a contact for, or the chief doesn't have it, we contact OES, and they actually bring us the contacts that we need to be able to do what we need to do.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
I just want to touch base too and thank Esther and Chief Denman too for everything in our emergency management group, small group, but a lot of accomplishments. I want not to overshadow those things, but having the amount of volunteers that we have, the organization of our CERT teams in our community, the outreach and education that's conducted on a monthly basis is bar none the best. And she briefly touched base on the DAT teams, disaster assessment team, damage assessment team. We have a 6-member team that we provided all the tools and equipment to do their job safely, and we've only expanded that as a resource that will be helpful to the county if need be for assessments. And that was a vision probably 18 months ago, and now it's fully in play. And I appreciate those efforts to make those things happen. They just don't happen. So they're fully equipped, properly trained, and they've been actively practicing, which is a huge win for us as a community. So great job.
Okay, thank you. Now we're down to member announcements or roundtable. Anybody have any general announcements or something they'd like to comment or bring up? I know we've had some handouts here. Did everybody get their handouts?
So American Red Cross sent me the flyers for some of the activities. So if you have in your community, you want any of this stuff done, please make sure you reach out to American Red Cross and they'll take care of that.
And this Edison,
Oh, Edison's, since January, everybody has, the issue that happened in January, they've also been making sure that we talk to the public about having the medical billing in case of a power shutoff, if they are able to bring and lend out generators to anybody that is medically, such as CPAP machines or anything, they will bring out a generator. If it's just like a local thing, but such a big thing, they might not be able to, so.
okay.
And I got one last thing. I appreciate your coalition or committee getting back together and touching base on those things, and alerting has been a hot topic internally, and we've been working with Cassandra and everybody. So we appreciate those efforts on fine tuning those things that we just assume are normal business, that we understand the path. So thank you.
And looking at the last, before we adjourn, the next disaster council meeting will be held October 27th, 2025. And if there's nothing else, we stand adjourned. Thank you so much.